Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is Kieno with STEM with Kieno.com, and I would like to thank all my subscribers that are in the Aviation Pre-Flight Indoctrination Prep course and the Undergraduate Pilot Training Prep course as well. This is the T-6 Texan 2 simulator. This is the first aircraft that you will encounter in your training. And this is an awesome simulator because all the switches and the panels and everything are photorealistic and totally clickable. And I am calling because I've received a bunch of emails about engine start problems and stuff. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to rectify and show you a step-by-step guide as far as, how you get the thing going and stuff, and you guys can have fun getting acclimated. Alright, so one issue, I'm not laughing at you guys, but the battery is going to have to be on. So I think that's where I'm going to start. And we'll talk about our cockpit flow and some other items and stuff that you guys are missing. So if you go to your airplane flying manual on page, hold on one second, in the airplane flying manual, you go back to page 2-12. On 2-12 at the top. Is it 2-12? Yeah, it is. I think the key just jumped a little bit. Yes, it did. Okay, so in 2-12, we've completed our pre-flight. Everything is good to go. We've done our interior inspection. Everything is good to go. And we're just basically strapped in and we're ready to get the aircraft started. Okay. Let me zoom in. This video is going to be in the simulation world, and we're locating ourselves at Columbus Air Force Base. Now, we're located at the fuel box, and let's get a now one thing that I need to do is work on the aircraft paint, because I definitely need some United States Navy and United States Air Force markings. But at any rate, we're going to go to the lock spot position and we're going to rotate around a little bit there, and we have a start. Our airplane is up and running. That's how the package starts. So you're going to have to hit Shift 1. So I'm hitting Shift 1, and a aircraft configuration window is going to pop up. I'm going to take out the rear cockpit, I'm going to take out the instructor cockpit, and I'm going to click on cold and dark. So we're going to start out with a cold and dark cockpit, and what's going to happen is the airplane is definitely, it's going to be chocked and it's going to shut down. And you can hear the engine spool down. We'll hit Shift 1 again to get rid of the box. Alright. And then we'll hit S to get inside the aircraft. And I'll go back outside. You can see that the propeller is fully stopped. And basically, we can look around the aircraft. Okay, so, like I said before, the battery goes into the on position. Alright, you can use your keypad, hit the plus key to zoom in. And I'm going to come up, wrong button. There we go. We'll get it back. Okay, so here we go. Now basically on the battery generator panel, here in this area, basically what we have is we have it placarded or marked in layman's terms. So we have it placarded on and off. Okay, we have our battery, we have our generator, we have our auxiliary battery, and we have a generator reset. And like I said, everything is clickable. You can reset the generator, everything in this thing, and that's why I think this simulator is so great. But the battery must be on. Now, note where we are here on this switch. Now, the main indication to let me know that the battery is on, this multifunctional display here, the right multifunctional display is going to come on. So if I flip the battery switch on, the EICAS is going to come on, our crew alert system and engine information is going to come on, and if I flip it off, it's going to go out. So if you don't have that on, guys, you're not going to get any power, and you're not going to be able to see the instrument or engine instrument indications, and you won't get your annunciator panel. All right. So that is number 2 on the checklist on page 2-12 in the airplane flying manual. Okay, the anti-suffocation valve, we don't deal with that in the simulator. External power, we don't deal with that in the simulator. Seat height, we are not going to deal with in the simulator, but I will show you where it's at, because when you actually get into the real airplane, you'll need to know where it's at. And this is where it is. Okay. Okay, and it will make noise as you flip it around. Okay, and it will adjust this seat up and down as you need it. Rudder pedals adjust. Okay, we don't really deal with that in the simulator anyway. So item number 7, flight controls, check. We want to make sure that our flight controls are free and correct. Now what I mean by that is we kind of wiggle our stick and make sure that there is nothing in the way. We slightly open our legs and we make sure that there is nothing in the way of the stick. Because as we fly, we want to be able to make full control inputs. Okay, so there's nothing blocking. There's no like manuals down there at the foot of your, at your feet and stuff blocking the stick or anything like that. You can do a T formation or a box formation. Your instructor will tell you about that. All right, but the T formation fits us fine for the simulator video. So we just do the vertical part and the horizontal part of a T, and there's nothing blocking the flight controls, and we're good to go there. Now, the fire detection system test, lamp test, things of that nature will only be covered with my specific clients. Okay, this is like a video, so my clients actually get one-on-one instruction in this. All right, we'll come over here. The next item on the checklist that we will address is point 10, flaps up. We have our flap switch here. All right, we can flip this down to the takeoff or landing position. That is the takeoff position. That is the landing position. Now, what I want to do is look up, because there is an indicator here to let you know visually that the flaps are in landing, takeoff, or the up position. So we'll bring it up and we'll bring it up again. So we can move this switch and the indicator will act accordingly, telling us the position of our flaps. Now, you cannot see your flaps from inside the cockpit. As we extend our flaps, these are split flaps. So if you're looking outside of your cockpit at the top of your wing, you cannot see your flaps. And thus we have the indicator to let us know the position of our flaps. Okay, so hopefully we're clear there. Now, one thing that I want you to note is that there is a specific cockpit flow. And what I mean by flow is we start in this area, we work our way up, we cross over, and we come down. Again, we work our way up, we cross over, and we come down. So as you're looking for items in the checklist, you should know that you're working your way up, crossing over, and coming down. I don't think I could be any more clear about that, but I just want to make sure, because I'm getting a lot of emails from my API guys when they get this simulator. So now that we know our checklist flow and how we're going to move about the panel or along the panel, that is paramount. So our flaps are up, exterior lights are in the off position. Okay, so we have our landing light, we have our taxi light, we have our anti-collision light. Now they should be in the off position, but I always turn my anti-collision light on. Why? Because you want to get in the habit of doing that, because if there are people walking around your aircraft with hearing protection, they cannot verbally hear you say clear prop, or it might be muffled. They may not know what you're saying, but there's no mistaking an anti-collision light, and you can see the flicker on the panel of the anti-collision light. All right. These are more like strobes, but okay, we'll go with that. All right. So back in the aircraft. All right. So our lights are off, everything except the anti-collision light. Exterior lights off. Trim, disconnect. Could be in the normal. Let's zoom in a little bit. This is the normal. Trim, disconnect. or we can bring it back in the normal position. We want that in the normal position, item 14. Item 15, trim operation, okay. What you're going to do is you're going to look at this trim indicator here. As we trim nose up, we should see our miniature airplane move, and you see it moving. Okay, now we don't want it nose up high like that. We kind of want it like in a 930 position. So you can see the miniature airplane coming back down as we trim nose down. We want slightly a little bit of nose up for the simulator. Okay, the actual aircraft that you train in will be differently, and your instructor will advise you. This is just for simulator purposes and familiarization purposes only. All right. So trim operation, we've checked. Rudder trim and aileron trim we're not going to deal with. Pretty much in the simulator, we deal with our pitch trim. Okay, our emergency landing gear handle. So notice we started down here and we're working our way up. All right. Emergency landing gear handle, EMER, LDG, GR. We'll stow that. That is stowed. All right, we'll come to item number 17 on the checklist, which is our master arm switch. We want that in the safe position. So we work our way up, master arm, we want this in the safe position. Okay, it could be arm, safe, or off. We want it center in the safe position. So that master arm checks safe. You want to come over to your clock. You want to make sure that it has the local time. And you want to make sure that we have the universal coordinated time here. In Greenwich, England, it is 18:17 currently, and our simulated time is lunch, a little bit after lunchtime, 12:17 local in the central time zone. All right, moving right along. Upfront control panel, lower switches set. These are the lower switches, the buttons and switches up here, the upper switches and stuff like that. FPM, feet per minute, cage, uncage, we want that in the cage position. Night, day, auto, we'll leave this in the auto position. Multifunction display, upfront control panel, repeat or normal. The light for the heads-up display, checked. Multifunctional, upfront control panel, repeat, norm. Bang, right there. I touched on that a little bit, sorry about that. Your HUD lighting, heads-up display is what I mean by HUD. Your upfront control panel lighting here, and your barometric pressure you can set. Defog, we don't worry about our defog switch, but as we descend down on the right side, we want the ELT could be in the on or the arm position. According to the checklist, we want it in the arm position. It is in the arm position. Park and brake, you would touch the brakes and you would reset. This is releasing the parking brake. This is engaging the parking brake, and you would press the tips of the rudder pedals as you pull this out to make sure that they lock in. You would actually feel pressure on them releasing when you pull this handle out. Okay. Parking brake has been reset. Chocks removed. We don't worry about that in the simulator either. As we come down here, you will notice a flow pattern. Flowing like this, like this, like this, just like you would read, really. So this assists us, this cockpit flow assists us in just knowing where to look for our switches as we read through the checklist. Chocks removed, generator switch is in the off position. All right, we come down. Now it is a little choppy, but we go down to this next row. Fuel balance, because we're going to come back to this later, but fuel balance, manual reset. Okay, we can have it in manual. We can have it in the auto position. They want this in the auto position according to the checklist. Manual fuel balance, switch off. It could be right. It can be in the left position, but center is the off position. So this is placarded or marked, so you can see that. Bus tie switch, we want that in a normal position. It could be open or in a normal position. Probes, anti-ice, could be on or off. Fuel bus boost pump. Now, when we turn this fuel boost pump on, we will get an indicator on the EICAS. All right, so we'll flip this along. And we'll see in the EICAS that it's telling us that it's on. We turn it off, it goes out. On and out. Okay. All right. We dealt with that. We dealt with that. We dealt with that. Fuel boost pump. All right. So I have like a little tablet on a knee board, and that is a checklist that I am using. And so please be patient with me. These directional keys, man. All right. Down, over, zoom in a little bit so we can read what we're looking at. Now, we turn on the fuel boost pump on momentarily to check the function, and then we have it back into the arm position. PMU switch is in a normal position. It could be in off or it could be in a normal, and it's placarded. It's marked off, normal. So we want it in the off position. Normal position. And the evaporator controls we don't really deal with, but you can just note them as you would for your checklist flow. Bleed, air, and flow in the off position. It is in the off position. Pressurization, you're not really going to deal with. I don't even think, yeah, we can't even do anything with that. Air conditioning, we're not going to deal with. Bleed, air, inflow, ram air, all the stuff, we're really not going to deal with it. We're just going to leave those switches as is. We're not going to deal with them because we're just in simulation. Your instructor will show you how to deal with that. This is kind of like, you know, if your AC is on, or if you want to get warmer in colder climates or temperatures that you operate in, that's all this deals with. Your instructor will explain to you ram airflow, its purpose, high, normal, and off positions and things of that nature. So don't worry about that. All right, our battery is still in the on position, so we do have electrical energy going to one of our multifunctional displays. All right, now you have to note whether it is above or below 80 degrees Celsius in the real airplane. All right, but for our simulator purposes, we're going to come over to the power control lever, which is basically our throttle. For you guys that are already pilots, it's a throttle. Now, this is currently in the off position. I can turn it in the on position, and I will see a placard, friction control. Okay, so this is when it's off, and this is when it's on, when you can actually see the friction control placard or marking. So it's in the off position, PCL verify off. All right, the PMU reset if necessary. If the internal outside air temperature reaches 121 Celsius degrees or less, the ITT counter and pointer are present, and the ICAS display and EDM fail message is not displayed. We're not really going to deal with that. Your instructor will work with you concerning that. On the PMU switch, we want to verify that it is in the off position, our power management switch. Okay, we'll push that up in the off position. Let's see, propeller area clear. So we would look outside and we would say clear prop. Now we have our anti-collision lights on now. This is to alert anybody with hearing protection that the propeller is about to start and to stay clear. All right, so that is a safety item that you definitely what you want to do. Now, for our simulation purposes, here is the engine start. All right. Now, number one, the engine cutoff has to be, the PCL has to be up, so the engine is not in the cutoff position now. It is going to allow fuel flow to the engine. Number two, the ignition must be on. All right. So the ignition is on, and just checking the ICAS. Now, what you're going to hear is you're going to hear the engine spool up, and then they're going to hang a little bit, and they're going to light off. That's all. All right, so we'll come over to here. We will left click, and then we'll hold that for about manual for like, I don't know, 20 seconds. And then basically we'll bring it down to the normal. So we've done that, and then we'll bring it down. Oil pressure. And the torque comes back down. Okay, so that's really about it, guys. That's really about it. You know, nice. Ignition on, push it up, and then bring it down to manual. And that does the job. And just repeat as necessary if you look at that. So ignition on, reset, and then down to manual. Alright, and then that will get the propeller spinning. We come outside, we have a spinning propeller, we have workable flight control surfaces. That doesn't matter because they're not powered by the engine or anything, the flight control surfaces. And there we go. We push it down, starter goes back into the normal position. Alright, our PMU, we'll bring that down into the normal position. Alright, that is item number 8. And we have an operable engine, ladies and gentlemen. We check our engine instruments. Alright, and there's a couple different phases for us engine starts, but let's go through our before taxi. So our generator switch is going to come on. Generator is on. Auxiliary battery is in the on position. Alright, we're not going to deal with bleed airflow, evaporator, air conditioner switch, but what we are going to do is we're going to turn the avionics master into the on position. And when we do that, let's take a look at our panels, and okay, look at that, look at that. We have some more stuff on. Alright. Okay. So I'm going to do more videos later, and probably more or less specifically with my aviation pre-flight indoctrination, my undergraduate pilot training prep guys. You know, it's really a good course, and if you want to know, you know, just have an idea what's going on before you get there, man, it's like paramount. You know, it's a really, really good course, and you know, we got a bunch of guys into it, and you know, the engine start is really what I wanted to address. The oxygen system that you can see operating now is basically for, I'm holding that only for my API UPT prep guys, but we go through all the systems, we go through all the procedures that this simulator will allow, and it's really, really good. So that is the engine start, and why fire this thing up if we're not going to take off, right? So let's do it. We'll release the brakes, bump the power up a little bit, we'll do a brake test. And basically what we do when we do a brake test, we allow the aircraft to roll forward a little bit. You can see that, and we tap the brakes. Alright, we come to a full stop. We know our brakes are good to go. A little bit of left rudder, you can see that at the bottom of the screen. That's how we steer our airplane, with our feet. Alright. Taking on over to runway 31 Charlie, center. And we'll get out of here. Now, what we have here is a heads-up display. There is pertinent flight information that is displayed, so we don't have to look down in the cockpit so much. Okay. what we have is a airspeed, altitude reading, and we have more information as far as like our navigation and communication. You know, we're just going to pretend we've been clear for takeoff, and we can do that in the simulated world. I do not advise you taking off at any airport, any towered airport, or airport where there's tower control in operation. Just jumping on and taking off unless it is a uncontrolled field. Okay, we'll look left a little bit. We'll look out into the approaching of the runway, make sure there are not any inbound aircraft on the way in, and that looks pretty clear. Okay, now this is like pretty much the best simulator as far as like systems and stuff like that I've found. Okay, and I've been looking. This is the Flight Simulator Steam Edition. I'm gonna purchase the P3D, and I don't know, I'm kind of thinking they may have a better model. I'm just guessing. It just seems a little bit, from what I've seen. I actually put some more memory in this computer to get it to stabilize, because I did have some flight stabilization issues. Okay, alright, so we're pretty much centered up on the runway center line. Lights, icing, flaps, transponder. Go ahead and we'll give us a little, put in 10 degrees of flaps. Or I'm sorry, not 10 degrees, but takeoff flaps. And looks like we're ready to go. Now, let's get back in the airplane. Okay, so we can tighten up on the heads-up display. Alright. We'll hold the brakes, we'll advance the throttle a little bit. Hear the engine spool up. You see the nose drop a little bit because the engine is biting for air. We'll release the brakes. And the rudder's a little bit squirrely, but I'll be a little bit gentler as far as that goes. Airspeed is alive. Full power. And we just start bringing the nose back at 80 knots. Rotation. Nice and easy. You have to be very gentle with this stick. Positive rate, gear up. We'll clear the obstacle. Retracting the flaps. And I am going to figure out the deal with this aircraft paint. Okay, and we want to pitch up a little bit nose more because we want to climb out at about 140 knots. So we'll pitch the nose up to get some of that airspeed to bleed off. And it is bleeding off. I'm satisfied with that pitch attitude. There's our runway back there. 148 knots. So we'll start pitching the nose down just gently a little bit because we want to climb out at 140. And look, we're at like 3,000 feet already. Yeah, man, lots of power, lots of power. Alright guys, so this is for all my API guys. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. And if you're on the way to API, I highly suggest you talk to me. As far as, you know, getting some information about this API prep course or undergraduate pilot training. So again, that's really about it. Do a little victory roll. We're above 3,000 feet. And let's see how our victory roll works out. A little too much, but that's alright. It's it's a simulator, so you really don't have like the control forces to feel them, but hey, not bad for a simulator. So I thank you guys for watching, and you guys be safe out there. Happy holidays, and all my API guys out there, UPT prep guys, study hard, man, study hard. Knowing before you go is half the battle. See you guys later.